Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads, and we are going to start the story Changes for Molly. Chapter 1, Hurray for the USA. Molly McIntyre and her friends Linda and Susan stood at the bus stop waiting for the city bus to come and take them home. They had to wait under the movie theater sign because it was a cold, rainy March afternoon. The girls didn't even notice the rain or the cold. They were too excited. They had just come from their tap dance lesson at Miss Lavanda's, so they were warm and sweaty. "Our show's going to be the best show anyone ever saw," said Molly happily. "I can't wait," said Molly. "I've never been in a big show like this one before." "Well, there's never been a show like this one in Jefferson before," said Linda. "Practically everyone in the whole town has a part in it, singing or dancing or playing with the band." "Even my mom is in the show," said Molly. "She's going to make a speech about the Red Cross blood drive." "Our part is the best part of all," Susan gloated. "Miss Lavanda said so. She said we're in the grand finale." "The grand finale," corrected Linda. "Oh, whatever," said Susan cheerily. "Early for the flag, and the flag is the most important thing in the show." Miss Lavanda, the girls' tap dance teacher, was in charge of a big show called Hurray for the USA. The show was being put on the Veterans Hospital in Jefferson. The hospital was full of soldiers who had been hurt or wounded in the war. Molly, Linda, and Susan and the rest of the girls in their tap dance class were the very last act in the show. They were going to dance and sing a patriotic song. They would wear red, white, and blue costumes so they would form a giant flag on stage. At one point in the song, the flag would be part in the middle, and one girl would do a very special dance all by herself. She was Miss Victory, and her solo dance was a real showstopper. Where Miss Lavanda had not picked a girl to be Miss Victory yet. While the girls were rehearsing, she danced the part herself, but during the next week, every girl in class was going to have a chance to try out to be Miss Victory. Molly already knew the special solo dance by heart. "I could do that Miss Victory dance in my sleep," she said to Linda and Susan. She closed her eyes, held her umbrella up high, and did the complicated dance steps right there on the sidewalk. Linda and Susan sang the music for her. "Ta-da!" she said at the end. "Gosh!" exclaimed Susan as the girls climbed on the bus. "That was great, Molly. You can make that dance look good, even your galoshes. I'm sure you'll get Miss Victory." "Well," said Molly generously, "everyone gets to try out. Either of you could be Miss Victory, too." "Nope, not me," said Linda as she plopped down on the seat in front of Molly and Susan. "I'm too nervous to get up there in front of everybody. I'd forget all the hard steps and just stand there like a dope. I don't want to be Miss Victory." "Me either," said Molly. "You'll be Miss Victory, Molly. Everybody says so." Molly blushed. She was very pleased. "I'm sure I would like to be Miss Victory," she said. She tapped the dance floor of the bus, even though she was sitting down. "I love the costume." "Oh, it's gorgeous," agreed Susan. Miss Victory's costume was made of shiny blue and red satin and sparkly silver material. There was a big silver star on one shoulder and a star crown for Miss Victory to wear on her head. Linda turned sideways to look back at Molly. "You should be Miss Victory," she said loyally. "You dance the best, so that would be fair, but sometimes things aren't exactly fair." "What do you mean?" asked Susan. "Miss Lavanda's fair, and she wants the best dancer to be Miss Victory, and that's Molly." I know," said Linda. She squirmed a little. "But while on a show, a lot depends on how a person looks, just not how she sings or dances. I mean, think about the silver star thing Miss Victory is supposed to wear on her head. It will only look right on someone with curly hair. It will look dumb on somebody with straight hair like mine." "Or braids like mine," interrupted Molly glumly. All her high hopes of being Miss Victory had fallen in with a thud. She knew Linda was right, as usual. Linda nodded sadly at Molly. "Yeah, I'm afraid braids would look dumb too," she said. "No offense, Molly." "Molly has very normal hair, said Susan. Miss Lavonda won't care. No, Linda is right, said Molly. Miss Victory should have beautiful curls. My hair is just brown sticks. She pulled her slicker hat down her ears and looked out the window at the weepy rain. Well, there's no point in getting upset about it, said Linda kindly. Let's face it, your hair is just plain straight. If it comes out of your head that way, you can't do anything about it. Oh, yes, you can, said Susan. My sister Gloria's hair is really sort of clumpy, but she gave herself a beautiful perm wave, and now she has lots of curls. Molly was interested. Gloria gave herself a permanent? She asked. Yeah, sure, it was easy, said Susan breezily. You just get a box of permanent lotion, you wash your hair. Or maybe you don't wash your hair, I forget. Anyway, you put the lotion on and set your hair on these special sort of curlers, and then it dries, and you take the curlers out, and you have all these beautiful curls. Linda looked doubtful. I don't know, she said. My aunt gave herself one of those home permanents, and she ended up looking like a French poodle. It doesn't matter anyway, said Molly. My mother wouldn't let me have a permanent wave. Well, she wouldn't need to know until afterwards, Susan pointed out. By the time you'd already have the curls. Molly thought about that as the girls climbed off the bus at their stop. Does the home permanent kit cost a lot, she asked. I don't think so, said Susan. You could use your Saturday movie money. Well, that would be enough, said Linda. Well, then I'll chip in my movie money, Susan said firmly. Molly needs to get curls. Linda looked at Molly. Do you really want a permanent? I really want to be Miss Victory, Molly answered slowly. It does seem like a permanent might help, so, okay, said Linda. I'll chip in my movie money, too. But I'm not sure about this permanent wave business. It seems risky to me. Oh, don't worry, Linda, said Susan. I know all about it. I'll give Mom the permanent. It will look gorgeous, you'll see. When Molly got home, Brad was sitting at the kitchen table coloring, and Mom was helping Ricky with his homework. Hello, dear, said Mrs. McIntyre. Leave your galoshes on the newspaper by the door, please. Mrs. Guilford's just washing the floor today. How was tap dancing? Fine, said Molly. She was thinking so hard about getting a permanent that she was frowning. Mrs. McIntyre looked up. Why so glum, chum? You're so usually happy after dancing class. She must have caught sight of herself in the mirror, said Ricky. Yikes, that would make anyone glum. Hardy har har, said Molly. It's so funny I forgot to laugh. Well, I have something that would cheer us all up, said Mom. It's a letter from Dad. I've been waiting for everyone to be home before I read it. Ricky called Jill. Let's go all in the living room. When Molly was settled, Mom began, Dear Mary McIntyres. Suddenly she stopped. Oh, she exclaimed. What is it? Everyone asked. Mrs. McIntyre's face was glowing. She tried so hard to keep her voice calm, but it was so full of happiness it sounded wobbly. She read, I'm coming home. And everyone exploded. Yippee! Hooray! Yippee! Dad, Dad, Dad! Molly danced around the room with Jill. Ricky cheered. Yahoo! Hooray! Brad hugged his mother, who was wiping away tears from her eyes. Settle down now, said Mrs. McIntyre. Do you want me to read the rest? Everyone got quiet and listened as she read. My orders have changed. I'm coming back to the States to take care of the wounded soldiers there. I'll work at the Veterans Hospital in Jefferson, so I'll be able to live at home. Oh, no, of course, no one can tell me for sure exactly when I'll get home. Right now, it looks like I might be there for the 18th of March. Maybe in time for lunch. It will be wonderful to see all of you. I can tell by the pictures you've sent that Ricky is probably a basketball star by now, and Brad isn't a baby anymore. And Jill, you look so grown up and sophisticated in your prom dress. You become a beauty just like your mother. And of course, I can't wait to say good old Ollie Molly and taste Miss Guilford's perfect pot roast. I'll be so glad to get home. Hooray for the USA. Lots of love, Dad. Well, exclaimed Mrs. McIntyre as everyone cheered again. I can hardly believe it. This is news we've been waiting for ever since Dad left. And March 18th is only 2 weeks from now, said Jill. Oh, it will be so great to have him home again, said Molly. How will Dad get here? Asked Brad. I'm not sure, said Mrs. McIntyre. I guess he'll come by train. Then we better pick him up at the station, said Brad. He might not remember where our house is. Don't worry, dear, said Mrs. McIntyre. I'm sure Dad will find us. Let's phone Grandma and Grandpa and tell them the good news, said Jill. Good idea, said Mrs. McIntyre. She started to put the letter back in the envelope. I see the letter. She wanted to read it by herself. It was such wonderful news. Dad was coming home. She came along and came to the last paragraph, where Dad said Ricky was a basketball star, Brad had grown up, Jill was a sophisticated beauty, and Molly was just good old Ollie Molly, mentioned in the same sentence as pot roast. Molly felt disappointed and a little hurt. Dad sounded so pleased and proud the way everyone else had changed, but he didn't say anything about how she changed at all. Did he think she was just the same dumb little kid she had been when he left? She would have to show him that she had grown up and she was different now so that he would be proud of her too. But how could she do it? Molly began to have a wonderful idea. The show! The Hurray for the USA show. Dad would be home in time to see it. What if Dad saw her on stage in front of a huge audience dancing the Miss Victory solo dance, looking beautiful in the sparkly costume, wearing the silver crown on top of long, lovely curls. Then he would see she was grown up and different. He'd be so surprised and proud. Right then, Molly made up her mind. She would get a permanent wave so that she would have curls. She would be Miss Victory. And Dad would see her in the show looking beautiful. Everything would be perfect. And that is the end of that chapter. See you later.